There's only one option, boyo. I gotta get in shape before me next date. And you're gonna help.
Hello, SpongeBob fans. Ready for a new dose of SpongeBob content? Number 1, the KRUSTY SLAMMER. In this episode from Season 12, Plankton thinks about one new plan to take the Krusty Krab down. For this episode, he tries to vandalize his rival restaurant to ruin Mr. Krabs' reputation. But after some problems with the police of Bikini Bottom, his plan completely backfires and he gets locked up after Krabs turns the Krusty Krab into a fearsome jail. Poor Plankton. It seems like he would never be able to gain control of the secret formula. As funny as it sounds, we don't want to spoil you on the whole plot of the episode, so let's jump to some animation errors.
Now everyone in town will know what a jerk Krabs is. Yeah!
Man, you think you know a guy. Gotta be true.
We've seen some strange moments in SpongeBob SquarePants, but let's take a look at this one. Here, right at the beginning of the episode, we see that Plankton is throwing red paint at the Krusty Krab and making some funny paintings to laugh at Mr. Krabs. This act of vandalism was punished afterwards, but it also came with some animation errors. If you take a look at the floor, we see that it's flooded with red paint. The cool thing is that even if the floor is painted, when the camera zooms in and out of Plankton, we see that in some frames the paint puddles on the floor disappear. What a way to start the episode. Let's move into other errors.
It's mine! It's mine! I saw it first! The perfect escape.
We're pretty familiar with some members of the cast losing their body parts, but this time, Plankton fell victim to that. In this scene, we see that Plankton is trying to run away from Mr. Krabs' claws and exit the Krusty Krab office. At the end of the scene, we see that when Plankton is close to the door, parts of his feet are cut off the screen. This happens a couple more times during this scene, so be aware because you might find some errors that we didn't. Number 2, perfect chemistry. What would you do if two of the best minds in Bikini Bottom joined forces to create an awesome teleportation device? This episode presents us with a very strange combination between two very unlikely allies. At the start of the episode, we see that Sandy and SpongeBob are working on a new teleportation device. This caught Plankton's attention as he was also working on some new devices to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. All of this ended up with Plankton trying to combine his invention with Sandy's so they could create the ultimate teletransporting machine. Seems like a cool episode, right? We strongly recommend that you watch it. And now let's watch some animation errors.
I guess I never realized you were such a student of science. Maybe you could help me fix my nut transporter.
Huh? Did you say transporter?
Someone forgot his water helmet in this episode. Plankton might have decided to work with Sandy during this fantastic adventure, but do you notice something strange happening in this episode? Usually when characters travel to Sandy's tree to visit her, we see that they wear a protective glass helmet so they can breathe underwater. But Plankton defies all laws and decides to not wear any protection. This is cool because wearing that helmet is a mainstay in SpongeBob's lore. But we know that Plankton is a very special guy.
Yes! It's working at last! New lab partner!
Oh, I guess you won't be needing me anymore.
Well, this might not be the first time that we take a look at SpongeBob's inner organs, but something strange happens in this episode when we look at that. Do you know what it is? If you're not a SpongeBob loyalist, you might not have noticed that every time we look into SpongeBob's inner body, the body has holes, which makes sense since he is a sponge. But in this episode, that completely changes and SpongeBob's body doesn't have any holes. Such weird errors in such a funny episode. Number 3, Bad Guy Club for Villains. Are you ready for some superhero action? Like in many other cartoon shows, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy also had some special episodes, and, well, Patrick and SpongeBob were watching a lost episode in this adventure. This time, Bikini Bottom's greatest heroes discover that there's a villainous group with the worst villains of the depths of our favorite city. Will our heroes be able to defeat them? Watch this episode and find that out. Now let's see which errors we discovered. While SpongeBob and Patrick are watching Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy beating some evil villains on TV, our protagonist can't stop their happiness watching their favorite heroes win. In the moment that they lift their hands to celebrate, SpongeBob loses his eyelashes in the midst of the emotion. Relax, SpongeBob.
That's why Neptune gave us the rewind button.
Thank you, Neptune!
Both SpongeBob and Patrick seem to love this episode, right? In the ending scene from the episode, we see that Patrick gets scared of the ending credits, which leads to SpongeBob rewinding the tape so they can watch it again. The funny thing is that instead of hitting the rewind button, SpongeBob rewinds the tape by pressing the exit button. This is a very small and strange error, but we shouldn't forget about those. Number 4, Pat No Pay. Patrick might be SpongeBob's best friend, but that doesn't exclude him from paying the debts that he has with other characters from the show. In this case, Patrick has to start working at the Krusty Krab because after eating too much, he owes Mr. Krabs some money. Will he be a great co-worker for SpongeBob? Find that out in this episode.
Methinks of paying customers in our midst. Patrick, how's a Krabby Patty with extra cheese sound? Gimme! Not yet!
From one character losing lashes to another one changing them. Mr. Krabs is a very special character, and this scene represents that very clearly. While he is talking to Patrick and SpongeBob and giving our favorite star some Krabby Patties, we see that his eyelashes change their color to a greenish tone for one frame. This one was a hard one, right?
So, Patrick, how are you? What in blazes did you do?
Seems like SpongeBob animators don't like facial hair. In this scene, we see that Patrick is sitting on the ground after eating a lot of ice cream, but something strange is happening to his face. Because if you look at him closely, you will see that he is missing his right eyebrow. Patrick can't catch a break during this episode. Number 5, Goo Goo Gas. Another episode, another Plankton failed plan to steal the secret formula. This time, his evil mind created a funny new way to annoy Mr. Krabs by turning him into a baby with a special gas created by himself. Obviously, and like many other plans, things didn't go as Plankton planned, but we recommend watching this masterpiece of an episode.
He's a little bigger than I imagined. Whoa! No! No!
Do you know how many K's the keys of the Krusty Krab have? Well, if you're not a true and longtime SpongeBob fan, you might not have noticed this, but much like we saw before in the video, there's a strange thing happening to one key component of the episode. Usually, when Mr. Krabs shows the keys to the Krusty Krab, they have 2-letter K's on them, but in this episode, they only have 1. What a cool thing to discover.
You geezers, release me!
Right after the party, the teeny other party.
What? They're calling us old!
As we told you before, transforming everyone into babies didn't go as Plankton planned. But after some incredible things happened, we see that everyone is now super old, and Plankton has been caught trying to steal a Krabby Patty. The funny thing is that even if he's caught in a net, we see that the net is hanging, but there's nothing that he could be hanging from. What cool nonsense! Well, there you have it, SpongeBob fans. There are some animation errors and funny moments that you can find in SpongeBob SquarePants. Please subscribe to our channel so we can provide you with even better SpongeBob content. Until the next time, goodbye!